All right, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Uh, we have Monterey, Richard Richardson, a
Mhm.
good friend of mine. Uh, he and I met about a couple years ago
Yeah.
in San Quentin. He's been out now for about how long you been out?
I believe it's 5 months.
Five
5 months. So
months.
since April, yes, April 15th.
So Monterey, just wanted you to do me a favor, just kind of let's go
Give me one
backwards and
second.
just
My little
okay.
cord got tangled. I apologize.
No, it's all right.
Okay. All right.
So let's back up. Tell the folks who you are, you know, your age, where you're from, and
Okay.
then we'll go into the conversation.
Okay. My name is Richard Richardson. I'm 48 years old. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, but I uh, moved to Modesto, California in 1981. That's where I was incarcerated, where I started committing my crimes, where I veered off track. Um, Over the last, I'll say 23 years, I've been in prison. I just paroled five months ago for a home invasion robbery. Before I committed the home invasion robbery, I had been to prison before for assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer. Um, I'm an ex-gang member, and right now I'm on the right track.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, it's kind of hard for me to know you to be that, but I know if you see my past, you wouldn't believe I was who I was either. So we all got a past. But I wanted to talk to you specifically because I admire you, man. I like the change that
Oh,
you've made in your life, and I know that you know it's you know home invasion. You know when I
yeah,
talk to you know I go in San Quentin a lot, man. So you
yeah,
know I talk to a lot of guys, and
yeah,
that home invasion thing, man, it gets folks 25, 30 years and it's like you know, when I asked the question, did you kill anyone? You know,
right,
because that's a murder charge, not a
yeah,
home invasion charge.
right,
And
right.
so, kind of tell me how did that work for you? I mean, when just walk me through the stages of what happened to get
Okay,
you there.
so so first of all, I received 47 years for my home invasion that I committed in Stanislaus County. And it was me and maybe five other individuals. We went into somebody's house to rob. We was trying to, we was looking for a drug dealer. We was trying to see if we can uh, uh, get some drugs, money, whatever, monetary gain, whatever the case may be, right? Um, Thank God nobody was hurt. You know, nobody was injured. However, we know that, well, I know that emotional scars take longer to heal than physical scars. But at the same time, I, because of my second strike, you know, I received 47 years for the home invasion robbery because it was a violent felony. And although I know that you say that, I know that you say that it's not a murder, but at the same time, I entered somebody's home, you know,
Mhm.
and the place where they should have been. Are you getting feedback?
No, I'm not getting any feedback.
Okay, okay. So a place where they should have been safe, you know, where they should feel safe. You know, nobody should have to fear somebody else coming into their dwelling, you know,
Hmm.
and wreaking the havoc that I did. You know, so I
Hmm.
understand the sort of the time that I received for this home invasion robbery because that's a very, very, very dangerous crime that could have went so many ways. You know, some people commit rapes while they enter other people's home. Some people commit murder. You know, assault. You know, kidnaps. A lot of things could have took place during the commission of my home invasion. But like I said, thank God it didn't. You know,
Hmm.
I'm very blessed in that way because I know that God was looking out for me. You know, even
Hmm.
though he or she knew that I was doing wrong. you know, God still had that hand over me, and I'm very grateful that I didn't have to do the whole 47 years in prison, because my sentence was 2038. I should not be out right now. Through the grace of God, I received a commutation, and I only did 23 years, and I was blessed to come home and spend the rest of this time with my family.
I'm going to fast forward. When I met you, you were working for San Quentin prison, the San Quentin news department. And you were actually running that news department when I came in.
Right.
And, just the fact that your skills of leadership and organization. I mean, people say that you can't be rehabilitated in prison, but I can see a tremendous change when I met you to who you used to be and who you are today. Kind of talk to us about what you did at San Quentin and San Quentin News Department.
So I first started printing a newspaper. I'm a certified printer, so I was printing the San Quentin newspaper in the print shop where I got my vocational trade, and that's how I was introduced to the newspaper. From that point, I met Michael Harris, Arnulfo Garcia, Kenny Bryden, Ali Tambora, these individuals who basically took me under their wing and taught me the ropes of the newspaper industry, along with our advisors, Steve McNamara, John Egan, Joan Lissitor, So through their guidance, I was able to kind of weave my way through the ranks in the newspaper, to becoming the editor-in-chief. However, I know that I started at the bottom, and I became a traffic manager, I became a staff writer, I became a managing editor, I became a graphic designer. I pretty much did every position, within the San Quentin News. And first of all, I like to say I appreciate what you said. You said that how you feel about me. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. However, as I was going through the ranks of the San Quentin newspaper and learning everything I needed to know, what I really learned and what kind of like put me on the right path was responsibility. How am I responsible for my staff, the individuals that I work with? The problems that they inherit and bring into the newsroom, those become my problems as well. Their family becomes my family in the situations that they're dealing with. I gotta take on those situations as well. So it wasn't just me being an editor-in-chief or me being a graphic designer. It was me being a friend, and being there for those people who needed me when they was in a lower point in their life, because I needed somebody when I was in a lower point in my life as well. So as an editor-in-chief and as the person you met me at that time, I pretty much had gained the skills, that I'm still, don't get me wrong, that I'm still learning.
Jonique, I can hear you guys. Jonique, I can hear you guys. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so the skills that I'm still learning, like I said, I'm always learning, however, it wasn't about me just being the leader, it was me about being part of something that's bigger than me, and trying to help it grow even bigger than what it was.
No, absolutely. I gotta say this, man. Talking to you and Juan, and I used to come in there on Tuesdays, and I was thinking I was coming in for a whole different reason, because they were asking me to do the media part, and would I be willing to come in as a volunteer, and so I'm working, trying to make sure I get here on Tuesdays, and I'm seeing how you guys are conducting business. I just kind of got a real good bond with you and Juan, man, and I'm praying that Juan too gets out,
Yes.
and Wayne, I had a meeting
Yeah.
with Wayne today, and you got on him, and he showed up today at the meeting he was supposed to. So it's good, man. It's good to see you at home. It's good to see
Yeah.
that your life has changed around, and so I remember praying for you when you were telling me you were going before the board
Yes.
the first time, and
Yeah.
and I told you were getting out. I said, man, you're gonna get out, man,
Yeah.
and then they gave you a date,
Yeah.
and we're all excited. Then they reneged on the date. Talk
Yeah.
about
So it's a double. First and foremost, when I had received my 47 years, and let's say maybe 15 years into my sentence, they always say be careful what you wish for,
Mhm.
because I used to always say that how come I can't go to the board, because I was watching these lifers, people who got more time than me, had committed, I don't want to say crimes worse than me, but crimes that people would deem more serious than the crime that I committed, and they was going home, with less sentence than I was. So I used to always say, how come I can't go to the board? How come I can't get the opportunity, to get out of prison? So lo and behold, when I get my commutation, everybody who did not have a life sentence, they were going straight home. They wasn't going to the board. They was getting straight out. Even some people with the life sentence, did not go to the board. They got let straight out. So when I got my commutation and I was told, hey, you got to go to the board, I was like, wait a minute, what happened to my pass go ticket? What
Right,
happened to that,
right.
right? So it was, in a way, it was a blessing in disguise, because it made me really look at my behavior, when I was incarcerated. It made me reflect back on all the negative things that I did when I was in the prison system. Instead of just going straight home and not really reflecting on all the negative things that I did do while I was incarcerated, going to the board gave me the opportunity to go back and revisit all those negative behaviors, and all those 115s and those 128s. And I knew I had quite a few, and they finally came to bite me in the butt, right? So when I go to the board, I went to in front of one of the worst commissioners that you could possibly ask for, right? And I don't want to say his name, but I just want to say that when I went in front of this commissioner, it was like I automatically knew that I was going to get a denial. It was like as soon as I found out it was this commissioner, I knew I wasn't going home. I knew I wasn't going home, right? So in my mind, I was like, let me just prepare myself for the next board. And I was trying to console my wife, and all the individuals who had these high hopes for me, and to let them know that, listen, my past caught up to me, and I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with him denying me because of my past, because I don't ever want people to think that I didn't go to prison because I didn't commit a crime. Do you understand what I'm saying? There was victims in my case. People were hurt, emotionally, and even though I got the opportunity to apologize to one of the individuals who were, in that home when I robbed them, it still doesn't change the fact that I committed a crime, right? And I went to prison and I did a lot of things that I shouldn't have did, So with that being said, when I got denied, I went back and I knew that I had to do more work. I knew that I had to work on myself just a little bit more, because it wasn't my time. And I always say that it's always a right place and a right time for everything to occur, right? And it just wasn't my time to go home that year, And like you said, I was going home, Of course, eventually I ended up coming home, but I didn't have no ill will feelings towards that commissioner, because that was my fault. I did that to myself. I don't blame nobody but myself for putting myself in the position that I end up in life, and I'm responsible for my decisions.
No, absolutely. And that's what another thing that I admired about you, because you weren't salty about the situation. And I mean, you could have been real upset about it, but you was like, it's okay, it's okay. And I'm like, is he serious or is he really okay? But you showed that, hey, my time is gonna come. And
Yeah.
I think they made you take some other classes or something.
Yeah.
They said that you needed to do some other things, and so you
Right.
went ahead and pursued that.
Right.
And then you got out, man.
Right.
So let me ask you, growing up, how was it? I mean, did you have a father in the home, or were you raised by a single mother?
Right.
What was your childhood like?
So for the most part, let's just say between the ages of when I was born to 7 years old, I had a father in the home. However, that father was very violent. He was an alcoholic. My home was always a turbulent environment. Every time my father came home, we was always on pins and needles. We didn't know what to expect. We knew that violence was coming. We just didn't know when. So we was always ready and prepared for these violent outbursts, whether he came home drunk or he came home sober, whatever the case may be. We knew that something was coming down the pipeline, So I really never had an opportunity to have a childhood, because I was always on the defensive. I was always thinking of how can I get out of basically this traumatic experience, and it felt like a dream that I was living. No child should have to go through what I've experienced, but I know a lot of children have. So when my mom decided to sneak out of the house one night, when my father was drunk on the couch, with all our whatever belongings that we can carry, getting in his car, my dad's car, and take off with all of us packed up in his car. It's like, what now? We're in the middle of the night. We just driving down the freeway. We have no idea where we're going. And I'm just a little child. So you got to understand, looking at it from that perspective. It's like, my God, what's going on now? So I bounced from home to home, women's shelter to women's shelter, and that's how we ended up in Modesto, because we was in Los Angeles, and we ended up in Modesto, running from my father. So for the most part, I was raised by a mother who couldn't control 6 boys and a baby girl. It was just, it's just something that's, don't get me wrong, there are strong women that don't have a problem with doing that, but for the most part, my ideal of a man, that role model that I'm supposed to look up to, my identity basically was in peril. Who am I? How do I become a man? What point in my life do I learn how to do A, B, and C? None of these things was taught to me, at all. And if you leave it up to the United States educational system, you're really going to be in trouble. Because they're not going to teach you how to be a man at all. Period. They're going to teach you the basic fundamentals of certain things, but life issues is something that's supposed to be taught in a household with both parents. So by me being raised by my mother, and my mother always looking over her shoulder, not having the opportunity to really stop to think, how can I raise these 5 boys, or how am I supposed to raise these 5 boys? I grew up looking for a role model outside of the house, and that's how I ventured towards other gang members who showed me what I thought was love, and passion, and how to be a man from their perspective, which was, as you know how the story ends, but for the most part, I ended up in and out of juvenile hall, over countless amount of times, stealing things that I wanted instead of working hard for them and buying them like I'm supposed to. ditching school, smoking weed at a young age, drinking alcohol, hanging out all night, you name it, it was basic. It was the basic neighborhood environment that most young Black men and Mexican men grow up, and even Asian, to a certain extent, grow up in, and try to find their own way in life, without guidance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, when you talk about this identity piece, because that's a real major part,
Right.
Would you say that is what helped contribute to joining the gang and the violence and that lifestyle?
Well,
Without the absence of a father, I should say.
exactly, because that's what it basically boils down to, without the absence of the father, right? So that's the major component of all my decision makings, because as a child, everybody, I want to say everybody knows that the adolescent point of your life is based on nothing but identity. Your identity is everything. How people look at you and view you is everything, right? So me trying to find who I was, in a world where everybody's trying to one up the next person, it kind of it kind of led me to view myself through other people's eyes, looking for other people's approval, that validation was very huge, for me growing up. I had to dress the part. I had to talk the part, walk the part, act the part, and which basically led to me doing the part, which, and I wholeheartedly would like to say that the majority of my decisions that I made was not my own decisions. It was because, now don't get me wrong, they were my decisions, but it was my decisions of me trying to impress the next person. You understand what I'm saying? Me trying to make myself look better in the eyes of someone else, instead of stopping and really trying to understand who am I and what direction am I going in life and who do I want to be. I was always concerned about who others wanted me to be, or what other people expected me to be. And this is all what I created in my mind. This is not something that these people actually said, this is what I want you to do. No, this is an illusion that I built up in my head that I perceived they wanted me to do, and I took charge, right? Which made all the wrong decisions growing up as an adolescent.
No, this is good. And I know you wasn't expecting probably this conversation, because I didn't plan on
No,
going here either.
it's fine, because I'm an open book, because I don't have a problem with talking. I do this all the time.
Yeah.
I like to be honest,
Well, the thing is, I even had this conversation with my daughter last Friday. Yeah, well, the Friday just passed was actually yesterday. And I was talking to her, and I asked her, who was she?
Right.
And she told me she didn't know.
Right.
And I said, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
I said, because you need to know who you are. I said, because if you don't know who you are, you'll take on the form of identity of people tell you that you are.
Exactly.
And you'll always be trying to please people or trying to fit in different type of cliques and categories. And you find yourself doing things, like you said, to try to fit in or be something that you're not, just because you don't know who you are. And so I started explaining to her some of the traits and characteristics of who she is. And I told her, but we're gonna have a conversation again about this conversation. I said, because I need you to tell me who you are, and that's a thing that, to be honest with you, Bonnaroo, my dad never told me, those things. He never, so I had a missing identity growing up, and the folks didn't know, because I played basketball. I was popular, I was in, doing things that I was doing right, and then I was doing all the stuff I was doing wrong. So I could, I had a mother who actually taught me, to be very polite and mannerable.
Right.
And so, I was that Eddie Haskell guy, man. Hello, Miss Cleaver, how are you today? And folks didn't really understand, because they're like, wow, he's one of the nicest guys. But then on the other side, I'm getting with some other cats and I'm doing some other things too. But these people don't know about this side.
Exactly.
And so I understand that, and I understand that it's hard to make that transition once you've been like that for so long. And so that's what I want to fast forward to about how you made that transition. And you made, when did you really see that change in you that I can't continue to live this way? I really need to change who I am.
So in prison, most people say that, how young individuals come to prison, and nowadays they sending them to like a level 1 and a level 2 yard, but when I first came to prison, you go straight to a high level yard. And right then and there, you're going to have these OGs, if you will, that are going to set you straight. Those are the real fathers. You see what I'm saying? Those are the ones that's going to tell you, listen, man, all that gang bang and all that stuff right there, leave that alone. Let that go. That's not who you are. They know who you are. They see who you are. You got a lot of OGs who've been in prison for over like 40 years, so I didn't have no choice but to listen, when I went to prison, and I hit that level 4 yard because people were dying, and one thing I told myself is that I didn't want to die in prison, I mean, as much as I thought people didn't care about me, and I didn't care about myself, one thing I knew for a fact is that I did not want to die in here. I didn't want to break my mother's heart like that, or my children's heart like that, right? So when I went to a level 4 prison and I started seeing a lot of violence, which was at an all-time high, and I was still in the gang activity, and I was participating in certain incidents and riots and things like that. But in the back of my mind, I have that conscience that's telling me, man, this is not it. This is something that I thought I wanted, but now I see this. I don't want this. It sounds good. I can go tell 1,000 people who think I'm hard, that, yeah, this is me. This is what it's all about. No, this is not what it's all about. Because once you hit that level 4, you're going to realize, man, this is not for me. I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to die. I don't want to kill nobody. I don't want to die. I don't want to be in a riot. This is not the lifestyle that I want, right? So when I first hit the level 4 yard, it was during the 9/11. I woke up in the morning and the guy told me, man, you sleeping too much. You don't even know what's going on in the world. He said, turn your TV on. I turned the TV on and I see the second airplane running to the Twin Tower, and that's life. That's the real world. While we up in here playing these mediocre games on the yard, it's a real world that's going on outside of here, and that's what really told me that I need to change my ways. I need to get back to reality, because I'm missing out on so much. I'm missing out on my children's life. I'm missing out on my father passed away while I was incarcerated. My grandmother passed away while I was incarcerated. My first wife passed away while I was incarcerated. All these people was dying while I'm sitting in prison playing these games with my life. So like I said, once I got to the level 4 yard, I decided, you know what, I gotta stop. But the hard thing about turning the boat, doing how many knots, it's almost impossible on a level 4 yard, because I'm heavily involved in this gang activity. And if I say, hey, I want to drop out of the gang, you already know what's going to happen on the level 4 yard, you know? So my first thing was, I got to start working my way down to a level 2 or a level 3, you know, that way I can get to a yard where I can finally say, hey man, I'm done with the gangs. You know, I'm done with this lifestyle. But for me to do that, I had to first start getting into programs. You know, so I started taking little programs here and there to keep me off the yard, you know, and in a classroom. You know, that was the so-called plan. You know,
no, that's a good plan.
I started with this plan of getting slowly but surely cutting my ties with hanging out on the yard, you know, and being in the classroom. And the more that I was in the classroom, the more that, you know, my points was dropping. You know, and I was going from a level 4 to a level 3, you know, and from a 3, I ended up in San Quentin to a level 2. And when I got to San Quentin State Prison, I realized that this is the place that I can finally, you know, say, hey, you know, and don't get me wrong, I had already started that change on the level 4 yard.
Right.
I couldn't say nothing. I couldn't tell nobody, hey man, I'm done, you know, until I got to the level 2 yard. That way I know that nothing violent was gonna happen to me. You know, so
yeah. It's funny. I remember, you know, you and I was talking, and you introduced me. I'm not gonna say the guy's name, but you know who I'm talking about. And you said, "Man, I'm gonna connect you with such and such." And I was like, "How do you know where he is?" I know where he is. Come on, we're gonna go get him right now. And I'm like, "You taking me around the yard, man, taking me to spots, man, to find folks, you know, that got me my stuff. He gave me my brown card." You know, from the same place I grew up. You know, I'm like, man, I'm tripping because when I heard the name all the time, I used to think the guy was white. I didn't know he was black. You know, but I heard his name so much, but I never seen him. You know, and so when I saw him, it was a shock. I looked at him and I was like, "Where you from, man?" He said, "I'm from Oakland, man." I said, "I'm from Oakland." I said, where you from, man? What part of Oakland? So he told me, I said, "Man, you're a rugrat."
Exactly.
And we cracking up laughing, man. But you know, that says a lot about you, man. That you had, you know, even though you were in San Quentin, you still had an opportunity to explore around and really actually have that connection with some people who had power and had influence, who respected you, because he could have said no, you know, but you already knew how it was going down before we even went to go see him. You remember that, huh?
Yeah. You surround yourself with good people.
So immediately, man, you got my respect, brother. I was like, you know what, this is a brother that I want to get to know a little bit more. And you know, the thing is, Bonnaroo, you know, I'm not a person that comes in there and help you all with the writing and the editing. I really didn't think that was my call, man. I really felt like my call was to come in there and give you guys some mentorship, some encouragement, to be able to pour into your life, always put a smile on your face, always, you know, just so it was my job on Tuesdays, no matter what I had going on, to make sure that I pinned it in, that I would be in San Quentin at 10 o'clock in the morning to see y'all brothers, man. You know,
that was a blessing though, but because you don't understand how much that transformed a lot of our lives, you know, for you to come in there and give us that type of hope that we needed, you know, to continue to do the work that we do. Because don't get me wrong, San Quentin News is a newspaper, you know, that writes stories about individuals that's been making a better life out of themselves. However, it's that moral support, you know, behind that newspaper that drives us to do what we want to do, right? If we don't have nobody who believes in us, you know, how are we going to believe in other people? You know,
that's right.
How are we going to perpetuate that positive energy to other people if we don't have people like you coming in there telling us, man, you know, you can be better, you know, and we leave up out of that newsroom with those words that you told us, you know, with the goal in mind to be better, to do better. You know, so when we go back to that cell, you know, and we walking that fine line, you know, with that cell phone up in there, you know, we make that decision like, you know what, I can be better than this. You know, I got to get rid of this cell phone. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool on smoking weed, you know, because I can be better. You know, I got people who believes in me, and I don't even believe in myself. You know, so that moral support was huge. You have no idea. And I really want to thank you for coming in there and feeding that to us, because we needed that. We needed
that. No, right on, man. You know, it's funny, you know, Juan, you remember you guys was locked down for a while and nobody could come in, you know, we couldn't come in for a while. This is before the pandemic. And then, you know, they shut the whole yard down. And I remember I was getting calls from Juan, you know, because he was like, you know, you need to come in, man. I know you can't come in right now, but you know, and you know, and it was good. Even with Jazzy, man, with Jazz,
right?
You know, Jazz is a phenomenal musician, man.
Yeah.
And I used to come in and even when he got out and I you know, like would stay in contact with him, he was like, Stuart Pirelli? And I was like, yeah, that's me, bro. He said, man, it's so good to hear from you, man. You just love to see, I look forward to just seeing your smile. And like you said, little stuff like that, man. Just a smile, man. Just to, you know, just the conversation that I would have with you, you know, and the brother's doing really well, man. And you're doing really well. And so I want to talk about now the transition, man. When you made this transition, okay, you got out with, I ain't even know, you know, you got out. Wayne called me when you were released. He was right there talking about Bonnaroo's getting out today. I said, man, why didn't you tell me, man? Well, he only wanted just a specific little group. I said, man. So he's like his wife was there and I was there and I was like, well, where was I, man? Nevertheless, I'm gonna leave that one alone, man.
Trust me, it wasn't my choice.
I know. But what I thought that was funny, man, was you know, I was really happy to hear that. I mean, I heard that you were going to get out, but I didn't really know the date or anything. So kind of walk me through that day, man.
Oh my God. So every plan that I thought I had, you know, was not what happened, right? Oh my God. All right. So when I woke up in the morning, it was like, okay, I know I'm going home today, right? And it can't be a joke, but it didn't seem real. You know, it didn't seem real. You know, so the CEO, he come get me, he walks me to R&R. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, is this really happening? But it's not real because I'm still in prison, you know? And even to this day, it still don't feel real. You know, so
well, you've been down for a minute, man. So I mean,
it's gonna take a while. You know, 23 years. It's gonna take a while. So, Lieutenant Robinson, Juan Haynes, and Pun Yu came to R&R, and they wanted to videotape me, and Juan wanted to interview me about how does it feel, you know, to actually be sitting in R&R, you know, with some. We call it street clothes, you know, not the prison attire.
Explain to the people what's R&R, because some people don't know what R&R is.
So the R&R is called receiving and releasing, right? So they receiving those people who are going to be incarcerated for however long, and releasing is those people who are going to be released back into society. So it's like the in and out gate, you know, you're coming in, you're going out, you know. So I'm sitting down here getting ready to go out, you know, and Lieutenant Robinson is just looking at me like, man, he you know, he's looking, you know how they look in your face for that, where is it at? You know, where is that surprise, that emotion? You know, don't get me wrong, I teared up everything, you know. I'm talking about the emotions was so overwhelming that I couldn't hold it in, you know, because at the same time, I'm leaving some good people behind that should be coming with me, right? And I know they should be coming with me. So when they actually drove me out of this gate, you know, and I started seeing everybody, I wanted to be the last one to get out, because I knew that there was going to be a lot of people out there waiting on me, right? So I let everybody get out before me and let them go greet their family before I greeted my family. And it was very emotional, you know, because the first person I hugged was my wife, you know, and I've been knowing her, like I told you before, I've been knowing her since the 3rd grade, you know, so that was overwhelming, you know. When I see her start crying, I was trying to hold it in, you know, but I looked up and started seeing faces that I haven't seen in years, you know, and I just, you know, you got to understand, this was like right after the pandemic. So I haven't had a visit in over a year, and I haven't really seen anybody in over a year. So by me seeing everybody, and I know it's a pandemic and we can't hug, I was hugging everybody.
I know that's right.
I couldn't help myself, you know. I'm a hug my peoples, you know. So that feeling was it was emotional. It was overwhelming, you know. You can't really describe, and I say this all the time, you can't really describe the definition of freedom until you actually give it away, or it's taken away from you. You know, people can draw their own conclusions and their concepts, but until you actually have to sit in a cell, you know, a closet, and live out of a closet, you know, and being told what to do, when to do it for 23 years or 40 years or 30 years or however long, you know, you really don't grasp or understand the meaning of what that freedom that God gave you feels like, you know. That's really that's very important, that people need to understand, because they take their freedom for granted, you know. And I can't explain it to nobody. It's just one of those things that people have to experience for themselves, and I don't want them to, you know. I don't want nobody to experience that, but but these emotions, you know, is so strong that you don't want to give your freedom away ever again, you know. So, you know, we went to IHOP, you know. I couldn't eat. Of course I couldn't eat, you know. And we took pictures.
Got a chance to eat some good food, man. You couldn't eat.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat, you know. Like I said, these emotions I was good, you know. I was good, you know. But yeah,
you know,
go ahead.
You know, and I'm glad to hear you talk about these emotional pieces, because a lot of times, man, we as men, especially we've been in situations like that, we turn our emotions off, and not on purpose, you know, but it just happens, man, where we suppress it for so long and we get out of tune that we can't really tap back in, and so we have no emotion. That's the, you know, and I mean, that's the guy that just killed 25 people, and then they give him his case, and he don't have any remorse. He's just looking like, you know,
wow,
you know, yeah. And so, you know, it's good, and you realize as you get older, it's okay to show those emotions.
You better.
It's all right. Hey, I'm free. You know, and
I'm going to show those emotions.
One of the things, you know, that I try to get people to understand, and that is about the peace of life, man. You know, peace. You know, all the money in the world could never buy peace. I don't care how much money you have, but to be able to just be among yourself, and to be able to just sit down on a bench and hear the water just hit the rocks, man. I mean, man, that's priceless, man. You know, or to be able to get in your car, you know, because a lot of times we take it for granted that we can get in our car and go where we want, but to realize that you tied up, man, for 30, 40 years, man, in a little cell, and then you get out. And so when you get out, how did you do, man? I mean, okay, now you're out, and you got to make this transition. You got to get a job. Right. You know, you've been down for 23 years. Yeah. You know, now you with your wife and the kids and I mean, talk to me, man. How was that transition?
So the working part is as you know, that transition was easy because in prison, that's all we really did was work. You know, we worked from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. So working is not a problem. I know how to bust my butt and work, you know. But that transition of being able to deal with everybody else's emotions, you know, and watching them struggle to deal with their own emotions, is that transition was mind-boggling, you know, because being in prison, you're in a condensed environment, you know, and we don't have a choice but to deal with our emotions, everybody else's emotions. There's no escaping. There's no running away from it. You know, I can't jump in the car and go home. You know, no. I got to sit here and I got to deal with my emotions, his emotions, their emotions, the correctional officer's emotions, everybody's emotions, and still find that centerpiece within myself to be okay with that. You know, to be okay with dealing with everybody's emotions, and at the end of the night when I'm locked up in that cell, you know, go through those emotions and digress. You know, out here in society, you know, I'm watching people spin out of control, and it's troubling. You know, I'm watching people get angry over things that I find really hard to understand because it's not, certain things are not that serious, but to them, you know, it's that serious. You know, so that transition is to me is troubling to see out here in society, right? Because people don't have a grip on their emotions and the situations that they're dealing with. Because you got to understand, in prison, we can go to a group. We can go work through our problems and our emotions. We can go talk to people, you know, and be okay with expressing how I feel, you know, and what I'm dealing with. Out here in society, people don't have that time because they always running to work, running from work, running to get the kids, running. They don't have time to sit down and talk to somebody about what they're dealing with, what they're going through, you know. And it's me that's always asking people, are they okay? I find myself doing that a lot, you know. And if there's anything that they need to talk about, you know, and they're so closed within their own environment, within their own world, that they're like, oh well, I'm all right, I'm okay, you know, until they actually break down or snap or can't or just can't take it anymore and just start crying uncontrollably, you know, because I done seen that a few times, right?
I'm sure.
So yeah, so me transitioning into a society that is very unstable. Let me say that for one, you know, and I always knew it was unstable because I was part of that unstableness too, you know. But me having the opportunity to come back to it and seeing it from a different view, you know, it's eye-opening, you know, it's eye-opening. And people don't have any they don't have any what you call it, boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have no, and they don't set no boundaries for themselves. You know, which is something that can be very dangerous.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you don't have any boundaries, man, it's like a house, man, with no windows, man.
Yeah.
You know, no doors, you know, no checks and balances, you know. And yeah, so I hear you, man.
Yeah.
But I tell you, man, and even with you saying in prison you work, there's a lot of folks that come out of prison, man, that don't get jobs. There's a lot of guys, and I deal with them still in and out, man. I mean, I still deal with cats, man, that I'm mentoring and I'm pouring into them, and I'm giving them everything that they need, man. And then I call back and they like, oh yeah, such went back. You know how? You know, and they just did 20 years of, you know, 25 years, you know, and. Yeah, so I gotta commend you, brother. I mean, you worked in prison, but it's a different type of work when you come out. you know, and that's why I'm trying to check in from time to time, man. Just like, man, how you doing on the job, man? You need something, man, because I know. Trust me, I understand.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. You know, because it all boils down to my ethics first and foremost, right? Mm-hmm. And my moral beliefs, you know, and how I feel about other people, you know. And that's what drives me. You know, that's what makes me want to be better, want to do better, want to help other people in any way that I possibly can, right? If my mother didn't instill those traits in me at a young age, you know, then it's going to be hard for those individuals in prison to learn those traits and get out and be successful. You know, don't get me wrong, it's possible and it could be done, but people just got to have that drive. You know, you got to want it, you know, and I really, really wanted it bad. You know, like I wanted my freedom, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I understand?
No, so, I understand. Yeah.
As bad as I wanted my freedom, that's as bad as I want to be successful. You know, and that drive don't stop when I get out.
Yeah. And I see it, man. I'm so happy. You know, the other day you told me about, you know, your new position, and what made me light up was the fact that you said I can buy a house. You know, so that you are. So you already got it in your mind, man. You're not just working a job, man. You're saying, man, this job is going to give me an opportunity to buy a house, you know, and I love that, man. So, man, it put a smile on my face. I said, you can do it too, brother.
And with that encouragement, with your encouragement, I can do it. You right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
What I mean.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, man, I'm looking forward to Juan getting out, man. And you know, I just, you know, and that, you know, that job that you have, man, that's not all that God has for you, man. There's so much more, you know, and you'll start seeing, man, when the doors start opening, because they're gonna open because you have that personality, man. You're connected. You know, you learned a lot of things, man, in San Quentin, especially with the news department. You met a lot of good people, man.
Absolutely.
A lot of good organizations, foundations, and they believed in you, man. And it wasn't a small thing. I mean, for you, you might take it small to run that newspaper thing, but brother, y'all had that thing clockwork, man. I mean, the meetings was on clockwork, the time was on clockwork, the minutes was on clockwork. Hey, if somebody was out, you put them back in place, you know, kept it moving. Did it in love, but you kept it moving. But hey, man, and you know, I'm just over here just observing, man, and you know, I'm sitting at the big long table, you know, and you know, I gotta share this with you, man. I gotta share this with you. So you remember when I came in to shoot the video for the documentary?
Yeah.
So I actually had my best friend, Matt Anderson, man. He came in with me, and so he's the guy with the camera and stuff. And you know, he's from Oakland. I've known him since the 4th grade, man. And so we're walking through there, and I'm talking to folks because you know folks know me, you know, and I've been going to San Quentin since '95, man. So he's like, he didn't tell me when we were walking, he did kind of tell me, he said, man, kind of slow down, man. I need to get these shots. And I said, all right. So I kind of let him shoot shots and stuff.
Yeah.
But later on that day, he's like, man, you was very comfortable up in there, man. he said, man, you kind of left me in there. And I don't be going up in San Quentin like that. You talking, hey man, what's going on, man? You holler at this brother.
Yeah, definitely.
I had to share that, man. We laughed about it, man. I said, man, I thought I kind of paused for a minute and let you get your shots. He was like, sometimes, man, I tell you, Bonnaroo, and this is straight from the heart, man.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of bad things in my life, man. And I you know, I could have been in that prison. I know a lot of people that I grew up that has been in that prison. And, you know, it's as you said earlier, it is nothing but the grace of God that has stopped me, folks praying for me, and that ethnic and the the morality of living the life, even though if the Bible says to train a child up in the way they should go, and when they get old, even if they go in a different way, and I'm paraphrasing, they will come back to the word of God. And so everything that was instilled in me, man, I came back, and I told myself that all the heartbreak and the heartaches that I gave my mom, that I was gonna make it up to her in a way that she would be proud of me, of the man that I've become, and there's no way that I could have ever done that apart from God. So that's why I come in and do what I do, man, because I know a lot of those guys, and I tell them a lot of times, you are who I used to be,
Right.
and then I have to tell some of the other cats, don't let the smooth taste fool you, because who you see is not who I used to be.
Exactly.
Because they think, this is a light-skinned brother, man, and he's soft, and every now and then I might have to check a cat up in there, man, because I had one, and was saying, I said, wait, hold on, man.
Gotta be kidding me, because they something else, But everybody know though, in a place where there's just very little hope, everybody grasping for that opportunity to talk to somebody that's going to give them that encouragement. So the more people that go in there and greet those individuals who I consider are lost souls, maybe they can find that way. Maybe they can find that way.
No, absolutely. Well, man, it is, I don't take it lightly, man, when I tell you, man, that I admire you. I like what you're doing, man. And I'm not trying to build you up, man. I mean, from where you come from and where you are and what you're striving to do, your wife got to be very proud of you, man. I don't know if your mom still alive?
Yes, she is.
So tell me, man, she's got to be proud of you, man, to see the before and the after.
Yeah, she's happy. She's happy. I mean, don't get me wrong. How I send you those good morning texts, every morning,
Yeah.
I do that to like 20 other people,
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that these people know how much I appreciate them. I want to make sure that I stay involved in everybody's life who meant something to me, who changed my life. And my mom, she's overexcited, and I want to buy her a house so bad.
Hey, you might do that, man. Hey, you still a young man, brother. You got a lot of potential. You got a good head on you, man. Hey, all you got to do is find that one thing that the world needs.
Yeah.
And and it'll make them dollars to get that house, brother. Legally, of course.
Definitely legally.
But no, man. I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation, man. And I'm here for you all the time, brother. Anytime that I can help you, and I told you that before you got out, brother. I'm with you every step. I'm your biggest cheerleader outside of your family, your mom and your wife. But I'm cheering you on every day, brother. Every single day, I'm cheering you on.
Hey, and it goes both ways. I want you to know that too. I admire you as well.
Yes, sir. Well, man, is there anything you want to say to the folks, man, even the young people, man, that think that they hard and that they live in this gangster life, man, style? What would you say to them, man, about that going down that road? Because they really don't know,
So I don't like to give people advice, right? Because they tend to want to experience life on their own, right? But when they get in that dark cell by themselves at night, when they don't have their homies with them or anybody to impress, that's when those emotions, that's when they're going to feel it. That's when they're going to feel it. That dark cell, trust me, it's a cave. It's a cave, and it's lonely and it's painful. Facing yourself, that's the hardest thing you can possibly do in life is face yourself. Everybody else don't mean nothing, but when you got to face yourself, that's the hardest thing you're ever going to have to do in life. It's a big pitchfork too, you know, and it's going to be a hard decision to make, but you got to make it for yourself, you know, nobody else.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna close on this one. I'll tell you a story. I had this young guy. Well, this pastor had called me, one of my mentors, and he was saying that he wanted me to talk to this young guy. And so the father had him call me, and we were talking, and he had got caught with a gun charge. You know, he had a gun and he got caught. And then a couple months later, he got another gun charge too. And he hadn't even had the case for the other one. And he started talking to me like, you know, he was talking to me like one of the cats in the streets, man. You know, and his father was like, you know, he's a pastor, you know, and he just was like, you know, nigga this, nigga that, you know, and, you know, I'm just keeping it real. So I said, okay, brother, let me keep it real for you, man. I said, I remember one time I was going into San Quentin, and I said I was in there and I was using the restroom, and I saw this guy that I used to thought I knew. I could only see him from the back of his head. So I asked one of the inmates, I said, man, who's that guy right there? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, find out for me. And they came back, and it was the guy who I thought it was. Now, before he went into San Quentin, he had got caught on a rape charge. And I remember we was praying for this cat, and he got off the rape charge. They cleaned his slate free. And then he turned around and robbed the 7-Eleven.
Oh, wow.
So I asked him, I said, man, when I saw the guy, I said, man, tell me, man, how did you do that? I said, you got a free get out of jail pass, and you turn around and rob the 7-Eleven. This is what he told me. He said, man, I thought that I would do the most, maybe 2 years. That brother did 12 years, man. And so when I'm telling this guy the story, I said, now you telling me you got this gun for protection, and you trying to stroll through the hood, you know, in Oakland, where you don't even need to be going. Now you got this gun, and you got this gun charge. I said, but tell me what's gonna happen when you go to prison, because you're not gonna have a gun.
You ain't gonna
and
have
I guarantee you don't know how to fight. I said, so you don't know how to fight, you're gonna be somebody's girlfriend. I said, are you hearing what I'm saying? And man, he wanted me to talk for him, you know, to speak on his behalf. And I was like, well, you know, I got to know that the decision that you made, you realized it was a mistake, and you have some remorse. Because I don't hear no remorse in your voice other than you try to be hard. And I can't go and stand before a judge, because my reputation is on the line. My nonprofit is on the reputation on the line. So if I do go and advocate for somebody else, and the judge say, oh yeah, that was the guy from Man to Man that got him out, and he turned around and killed somebody.
Exactly. You don't want to do that.
And
it don't work like that.
Yeah, so he you know, since he's called me a few times, and he told me, you know, Mr. Pirelli, you know, I just want to tell you, I go straight to work. I don't go those places no more. I don't hang with those people no more. He said, the story that you told about that guy really hit home. He said, man, I want to have a family. I want to have kids. You know, it was, you could tell. I heard the remorse in his voice, that it was real, that this guy was really trying to change. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with these gun charges, but I can at least go in and say, I can understand, Your Honor. It's difficult, you know, being on these streets, and it's difficult not being armed, because if somebody's shooting with you, you know, shooting at you, you know, it's kind of hard. You ducking bullets, but you need, you know, some way to send the message back. I'm not promoting that lifestyle, but when you live that lifestyle, that's what comes along with it.
That's what's gonna happen. But like you said, and don't get me wrong, if you don't have the means to get up out of that environment, I truly understand, right? But for the most part, you have the means to not partake in the environment that you live in. You know, it's that simple. You know, just don't get me wrong. I done been in almost every neighborhood in Los Angeles, right? When I was a child. And I used to catch the RTD in these neighborhoods, and I had these individuals tell me, get up out of my neighborhood. What are you doing over here, right? I'm a kid. you know, and they still tell me, don't come over here. You know what I'm saying? I'm a child because they already know what happens, you know, when you just want to hang out, when you're just looking for action, when you just want to see something that you think you're missing, when you really ain't missing anything, right? It's all about choices. You know what I'm saying? You have this decision to make with every choice, just like you made the decision, or just like you wanted to make the decision to go and hang out in this neighborhood, you can make the same decision not to go hang out in that neighborhood. It's just that simple. You know, it's that simple. You know, if you're there, you're looking for trouble. You know, if you're there, you're looking for action. And if you're looking for it, it's going to find you. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, no, real talk. Well, man, it's a pleasure, man. I'm gonna close in the word of prayer, man. But believe me, Bonnaroo, if you guys are just coming on, we are talking. Can we have a conversation? We're talking with my friend Bonnaroo Richardson. He's been out of San Quentin for about 5 years now, and was down for 23 years. But this is for 5 months. And the thing, 5 years, huh? the thing about I admire about him is the transition in his life and how he's it's really hard to transition from that prison back into society, because it's all mentally and you know the mental status that you have and the support group that you have. I mean, everybody's looking for you to win, man, and you're doing an excellent job, man. And I just want to commend you on it. I'm proud of you, brother. And anything that I could do to help you, brother, I am definitely here to do so.
I appreciate it.
Let's close in a word of prayer. Father God, I thank you for Bonnaroo. I thank you for his life. I thank you for the transition. I thank you for the wisdom that you've given him, and the tools that you've allowed him to have, and the favor that you've allowed him to be able to get out. Even though it was 48 years he was supposed to serve, he served 23. And because you let him out, God, he is able to not just the work, but he's able to work in the job that he feels comfortable with. He's laughing. He's able to want to purchase a home. He's back with his family. God, I pray that you will put a hedge of protection around him, protect him, his family, and everything he touches. I pray that it turns to gold. Even the wish, the desire to be able to buy his mother the house. God, you said in your word, God, that you would give us the desires of our heart, and that you are a rewarder of those who diligently seek you. I believe he's seeking you, God, and I'm praying as he seeks you, God, that you will give him the right direction, the right path, that you give him an ear to hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying in his life, so that he can continue to be successful and you get the glory. We thank you, we praise you, and we honor you. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
Amen.
All right, brother. Much love to you, brother.
All right.
We're going to do another one, man. But anytime, man, reach out. All right. Tell your wife I say hello.
All right, I will. Be safe.
All right. All right, brother. God bless.
God bless you.